All right, today we're going to create the notes for factoring trinomials. Remember, trinomials are whenever there are three terms in an expression. We're going to be doing a lot of factoring trinomials this year, especially once we get into the quadratic unit, but even after that, we'll continue on factoring. So we need to make sure we understand it now. All right. First thing we're going to look at is standard form. Standard form of a quadratic is where you have everything to one side equal to 0, and you have an a x squared plus a bx plus a c. C can be 0, and so can b. A cannot be 0, otherwise it wouldn't be a quadratic. It would just be linear or constant. All right, so the way this works, first thing we're going to do is factor out a GCF. Remember, GCF is a greatest common factor, if there is one. Then we're going to identify our A, our B, and our C. Then we're going to factor using the diamond or the box and write our answer in factored form. And this is whenever trinomials have an A of 0, or 1, sorry, A of 1. Okay? So, the way this works, first of all, is we need to factor out a GCF. All three of those are divisible by 3. And so that leaves me with an x squared minus 4x plus 3. All right, then we're going to use our diamond. On the top is going to be our a times our c. So in this case, that is 1 times 3, so that's 3. And the bottom is going to be that middle term, which is negative 4. So I'm going to be looking for the factors of 3 that add to equal negative 4. So factors of 3 are 1 and 3, and then of course negative 1 and negative 3. And the one that equals negative 4 is negative 1 and negative 3. All right. Now, since my a was 1, the number in front of the x squared is just a 1. That means I can use a shortcut. And the shortcut is, that 3 is still part of our answer, of course. I can do x minus 1 and x minus 3. So the numbers I come up with for the sides of my diamond can immediately become the factors that are the numbers I put in the parentheses there. Okay? Looking at this next one, x squared plus 7x minus 30. Make my diamond. Negative 30 goes on top. 7 goes on bottom. List the factors of negative 30. So one has to be positive, one has to be negative. Because it's going to add equal positive, that means the bigger one has to be the positive number. So at negative 1 and positive 30. Negative 2 and positive 15. Negative 3 and positive 10, and negative 5 and positive 6. The one that adds equal 7 is negative 3 and 10. So my factors are x minus 3 and x plus 10. All right, moving on to number 3. Looking for GCF first, I can pull out a 5. Leaves me with an n squared minus 4n minus 5. All right, and that leaves me with, let's see here. We're going to make our x. So we got a negative 5 on top, and we got a negative 4 on bottom. And list the factors of negative 5. One's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. It's going to add to equal negative, so the bigger one has to be negative. So 1 times negative 5, that's my only option, and that does add up to equal negative 4. So 5n plus 1 and n minus 5. And then this last one, x squared plus 7x minus 5. So negative 5 will go on top, 7 will go on bottom, listing the factors of negative 5, where the bigger number is positive. So we've got negative 1 and positive 5. Well, negative 1 times 5, or plus 5 is 4, not 7. So that's not factorable. So what we're going to write is it is prime because it's only divisible by 1 in itself. All right, next, 12x squared minus 10x plus 2. I can factor a 2 out of that. That leaves me with a 6x squared minus 5x plus 1. All right, so since my a is bigger than 1, all right, I'm still going to do the diamond first. I'm going to do my a times my c. 6 times 1 is 6. The bottom number still goes here, -5. I'm still going to list the factors of 6 that add to equal -5. Well, if they're going to add to equal negative, and it's a positive number on top, that means they both have to be negative. So I got -1 and -6, -2 and -3. So the one that adds to equal -5, of course, is -2 and -3. Now I can use my box method, or I could group, either way. 2 is going to be part of that final answer. I factored a 2 out at the beginning. The 6x squared, the first term has to go there. The last term has to go in this last box. So the 1 goes there. The other two boxes are interchangeable, the -2x and the -3x. It does not matter which order you put it in. All right, so now I'm factoring across. 6x squared minus 2x, I can factor out a 2x there. -3x and 1, I can factor out a -1. 6x squared minus 3x, I can factor out a 3x, and -2x in 1, I can factor out a -1. So my factors are 2x minus 1 and 3x minus 1. All right, moving across here, 10x squared plus 25x minus 15x. I can factor out a 5x, and that leaves behind a 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. All right, and then if I am going to set up my diamond, the top is going to be my a times my c, so that is going to be a -6. The bottom is going to be that 5. I'm looking for factors of -6 that add to equal 5. So I've got -1 and +6 and -2 and +3. Of course, it's -1 and +6 that add to equal 5. So make my box. And the 5x that I factored out at the beginning is going to be part of my final answer. I'm going to write that first there at the bottom so I don't forget it. 2x squared goes there, -3 goes there, and then this is going to be, I can put 6x and -x in either spot of the last two. It's factoring across, I can factor out a 2x. Here I can factor out a -1. Factoring up and down, 2x squared and -x, I can factor out an x. And 6x and -3, I can factor out a 3. So my factors are 2x minus 1 and x plus 3. All right, moving down here to bottom left. No GCF, so I can start with my factor diamond. 5 times -6 goes on top, so that's -30. -1 goes on bottom, so I'm looking for factors of -30 that add to equal -1, so the bigger one's going to be negative. So that's 1 times 30, 2, and 1 times -30, sorry, 2 times -15, 3 times -10, and 5 times -6. So the one that adds to equal -1 is the 5 times -6. So then I can build out my box. All right, so the 5x squared has to go first, the -6 has to go bottom right, and then I can do a 5x and a -6x. It does not matter the order. I can pull out a 5x there, I can pull out a -6. Here I can just pull out an x and a 1. So I end up with 5, oh, not sure what happened there, sorry. 5x squared minus 6 and a x plus 1. And then lastly, last one, I can pull out a -1, and that leaves behind a 2x squared plus a 3x plus a 12. Now I want to do that because when I factor this, I don't want my a to be negative. It's okay if my b and c are negative, but not my a. So my x, I'm going to put 2 times 12, which is 24 on top, 3 on the bottom. Everything's positive. Factors of 24 are 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. Well, 4 and 6 is 10, and that's the smallest combination. None of them get down to 3. So that's as far as I can factor that. That is my answer. All right, if you have any questions, please shoot me an email like always. Have a great day.